we had to go to Pickle school. We had never heard of Pickle school. So we started doing a lot of research, and I went up to see Charlie Shelton. Does anybody know Charlie Shelton? He's Shelton Vineyards up on the other side of Jacksonville, and they have a very successful winery. And so I go up there and I'm like, Charlie, I'm thinking about starting my own pickle company. And he said, well, Jenny, we're having a festival on this Saturday, and I'll give you a free booth. You know, it doesn't cost you $100. I'm going to give you a free booth. Come up here and sell your pickles and see if anybody likes them. And I was like, but Charlie, I don't go to pickle school until Monday. And it takes 7 to 10 days for these pickles to ferment. And he's like, Jenny, do you know how to make pickles? And I'm like, yes, sir, I do. He was like, make your pickles, go to pickle school, and then come to my festival. He says, sometimes it's a whole lot easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. And so that's how we got started, because I was so afraid of doing something wrong that I wanted to do everything right. And that's one of our mottos. If you don't take anything away from me, let me tell you 2 things real quick. Find your passion. Everybody has a gift from God. Find it. Whatever you're passionate about, it's your gift. The other thing is, either do it right or don't do it at all. Don't waste your time. Don't waste somebody else's time. Just don't do it. If you're not going to do it right, just don't do it. I mean, I tell my children, don't even bother taking out the trash unless you're going to replace that trash can with a trash bag. It's just not worth doing, because I got to come behind you, okay? So, you know, the mom comes out in you a little bit about that. But this is NC State. When we went to NC State Food Science Department, which, by the way, we wouldn't have a business without NC State University. This is their sign, Pickle School. We went up to near Asheville, North Carolina. That's Ashley. We were so excited. It was 3.5 days of chemistry. We wanted to make sure we didn't kill anybody, because my mom made pickles in a crock, and it had a plate over and a brick, okay? FDA is not going to let you do that, okay? They just won't, by the way. And so I knew how to make pickles, but I had to make it right for the consumers. We met with SCORE. If you ever want to start your own company, SCORE is a great free agency through the government. Believe it or not, something's free. And it's called, and I might get this wrong, it's like Senior Corporate Executives Retired. But we met with the SCORE agency out of Greensboro, North Carolina. And you know, those old men thought we were crazy, because they're retired and they're like, really? Y'all are going to start a pickle business? Well, guess what? They're our biggest supporters. They've been to Wake Forest to see us speak. They've been to UNCG to see us speak. And they're just our biggest cheerleaders. But Fran sent us to see his brother or son-in-law. This is HC. He raises sweet potatoes in North Carolina. And if you didn't know, sweet potatoes is the #1 crop in North Carolina. Cucumbers, the #1 crop is in Michigan, which I found that hard to believe, but you learn a lot when you get in the cucumber industry. But he rode us around, and we did a lot of research. We were with him for about 4 hours, and he took us to Mount Olive. And all those are tanks full of cucumbers, because they're doing a natural fermentation to where they're sitting in big tanks of brine. And to be honest with you, Bill Bryan of Mount Olive has been to see me, I think once or twice. And he's very nice. And everybody's like, oh, y'all are competitors. We're really not. There's no junk in my jar. And I told Bill, we won't talk about your jar, you know, with all the preservatives. And he's like, Jenny, Jenny, Jenny. I said, well, you know, that's what I tell her. Here, oh, this is a good story. My grandmother's name was Mamie. And I really wanted to honor my mom. And I wanted to name it Mamie. And so trademarking is very important. Does anybody know what the first infringement on a trademark infringement, if you copy somebody's penalty, is? $50,000. I didn't have $50,000 to make a mistake. So my attorney said, Jenny, there's these ladies in Alabama that already own Mamie's, which you could probably call them and say, hey, can I use the name? Because they make cheese wafers and you make pickles. Okay? Well, you know me, I kind of haven't met a stranger. What have I got to lose, right? So I picked up the phone. I called and I said, hey, my mama's name was Mamie, and I'm making pickles in North Carolina. Could I use the name? Would that be okay with you? She didn't tell me no. She told me hell no. I was like, gosh. Well, I just asked, you know. Well, what happened was she said, we're in Williams-Sonoma. And I said, congratulations. I'll see you there. So that's been driving me for 2 years, and guess what? I'm getting my first PO from Williams-Sonoma this month. Yeah. And it's a big order. Here's their old label, here's their new label. Well, whenever you have a partnership, it doesn't always go smooth. You know, you learn. Me and Ashley have been together 5 years, but we've never been in business together. We work very, very well together. And what I tell people is, I'm the vision, I'm the gas, she's the details, she's the brakes. How many people have ever driven a car without either one? You can't. Miss Jenny doesn't exist without both of us. That's who we are. Ashley's behind the scenes. Sometimes she comes out once in a while, but she's making sure everything that I say is going to happen. And that's how we work best together. Well, we had this label, and then we went to this label. Well, again, God's really good, because I was sitting at Smitty's and I met this guy I'd never met. And I'm like, you're kind of new here. And I've been in Forsyth County my whole life, born and raised in North Carolina, Forsyth County. And I said, where do you live? He was like, you wouldn't know. And I was like, really? That's so not nice, you know? We don't talk like that. And I said, where do you live? And he was like, Stonecroft. I said, well, my address is 6104 Old Orchard Road. He went, you live in the most expensive house in the neighborhood. I said, yes, I do. And I lived in his neighborhood. And he was like, what, you know, how did you know? And I said, well, I'm looking for a graphic designer. Well, he's a graphic designer for Rock 10, which does all the graphic design for 3M, you know, the tape, Willy Wonka, and he never really done food. He'd done Lowe's Hardware. I looked at him, I said, you're going to design my new logo. He's like, no, I'm not. Well, once we figured out where we lived, he went, call me on Monday, and he designed my new logo. Well, I didn't ask Ashley, I didn't ask Bo, I didn't ask Andy. So needless to say, they did not like me for a few days because I spent quite a bit of money without anybody's permission. Well, my gut talks to me. And Ashley even says, Jenny, whenever we write this book, let's just call it the gut, because my gut leads us a lot. And I just knew I had to do it. And so that right there is our new label, which we've actually changed again, because it's always a work in progress, by the way. But that's my signature in graphic form. He said, Jenny, what inspires you? And I said, Jackie O, Princess Diana. You know, I like graceful, elegant, simple. And he was like, well, let's just keep your logo simple. Because that's the one thing is, this was really sad. But if I cover up this and you see that shape and you see it on the shelf, you're going to know that's a Miss Jenny's product. And that's what we were looking for, is when you're building a brand and building a logo, you want somebody on the other side of the room that sees it to know what it is before they get up on it. That's something I didn't know. I had to learn. But Ashley, Andy, and Bo will all tell you I did the right thing. I just should have told them about it. You know, I didn't ask their permission.